Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for blue skill tree Harlowe in Borderlands 4. Now, the funny thing is, you can get platinum in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6. Unfortunately, Ultimate Vault Hunter 7 just has a lot too much health, and I've been experimenting around. I was actually able to improve my time over the last one with this different build here. This is actually pretty strong with the new Plasmaphile class mod. You can destroy Subjugator and fully invincible. This is because we're actually able to get our action skill back really quickly here using the Convergence Shotgun, and you can see it there. You can store up damage for Groundbreaker to do some pretty silly stuff. This is fun because you might not have used the blue skill tree for Harlowe before because it's really good at mobbing. It's just terrible for bossing until now with this new class mod. The Plasmaphile will deal bonus radiation area damage to enemies that are immune to stasis, so all bosses, and this damage is increased by the action skill cooldown rate, so we can further boost this up using any type of buffs to that. Now, I previously posted a build where I went down all the way in the blue skill tree, but this one does shave a couple seconds off. So we'll be going over this, but I do have another one if you want to try something with a blue capstone. This one is quite tanky though because distributive function lets us get overshield and shield capacity from this whenever we deal damage with an action skill. So this one is tankier. And the nice thing about this is it does not require any DLCs to be able to do this. So that's great if you're just using like the base game weapons. Now, for our first points here, there's a couple options. The action skill cooldown rate will buff up our overall damage, and this here gives ourselves critical hit chance with all skills. Now, I did experiment around with both of these. Make Extraordinary is really good because this is going to increase in chance every time we entangle an enemy, and we're actually able to entangle a lot of them. The critical hit chance is just really nice. Now, there's two options here. The periodic table flip will give us increased elemental damage, but also going with Pulse Drive is really nice. We're going to take 1 point of the negative entropy here, which gives increased gun handling, but we're then going to put 4 points into the action skill cooldown rate. You could go with periodic table flip if you want to use different types of weapons a bit more, but again, action skill cooldown rate actually feeds into our action skills damage. We want this though because precision engineering here is really good, and I did mess around. 2 Coolin for Schoolin. This gives ourselves increased action skill cooldown rate, which is amazing because that's again extra damage, but we don't need as many points as like the previous build that I posted. Now we're going to come down here because we want to unlock this cold storage here. All damage dealt to enemies in stasis is stored whenever an enemy is slammed or stasis ends. Create a cryo explosion based on all the stored damage, and centered on that enemy automatically will also freeze all nearby enemies. So this is going to store up damage. You can alternatively go with like Strange Attractor. Whenever we critically hit an enemy, it's going to entangle them, and that is again going to help fuel our increased critical hit chance, so this can work out very well. But we want to grab 1 point of Keep Ice on that. All cryo damage we deal gains lifesteal. If our health is full, we get overshield instead. Just gives us some really nice sustain, although we get even further sustain a bit later on, and we'll grab Cold Storage. After this, we're going to come into the green skill tree. We want to buff up our critical hits as much as possible because they actually do hit quite hard. Now, we also are going to take neutron decay because we can turn action skill damage, or we can turn gun damage into action skill damage. So this gives 50% extra gun damage. So that's 25% extra action skill when we take a specialization. We're also going to take 3 points confirmed with reality. I usually take 2, but we need this to be able to get our action skill back really quickly. It's 1.5% per shot. With a convergence shotgun, we can get it back very fast. We're also then going to take a couple points of the resonant cascade here, which will further increase our action skill damage when we deal radiation damage. This will actually scale good if the level cap does increase in September here, so that is really nice. Now coming down here, we're going to take 1 point of Harlowe's Certainty Principle. You can just go all in on this, but we're going to grab Gamma Ray Burst here. So when we re-trigger our action skill, the next shot fired from our gun drains our shields and deals bonus radiation damage based on the amount that was drained. You could, again, go with the full points in Harlowe's Certainty Principle to get further increased gun handling so you can be a bit more accurate, but we need to get down the tree to critical funding. This is really important. This lets us use 4 shotguns and not run out of ammo because this adds ammo instead of taking it from our reserves, unlike other skill trees in this game. Very, very good. We're also going to grab Meltdown here, so critical hits with guns deal bonus radiation damage, which is going to trigger our neutron decay and resonant cascade here, so this comes full circle. It's unfortunate we do have to use the green skill tree to buff with the blue so much, but again, if you want to see more points in the blue skill tree, I'll have that linked in the comments. We're then going to go all in on Excited State here. You can, if you want a mob, go with Refraction, which will give you a ricochet chance, but Excited State gives us increased critical hit chance, and it also gives us critical hit damage after we damage an enemy with our action skill, which is pretty much all the time. We're also then going to grab Distributive Function. Now, you can go with 4 or 5 points here. I like to go with 4 points and then 1 point of accretion here. And realistically, you don't really need this. This gives you lifesteal against entangled enemies, so you can basically become immortal with this, but even 4 points in Distributive Function works well. And Our final points. Now, you can go with like the field ready prototype for further increased skill damage. Didn't find it as useful as taking decoherence. This is one of Harlow's best skills. Deal increased damage with all sources to entangled enemies, which again, if we use our action skill, it's going to entangle them. So that gives ourselves 15% bonus damage. We want bonus damage. So that further takes this a little bit higher than I previously posted the build on, which in the other build I went with more points in Keep Ice on that, more points in Unstable Isotope, and then we took the Cold Plunge here, which creates a singularity, and then Triple Point, which is really nice because you get bonus cryo damage. So this is pretty impactful as well, but I found this actually shaves a few seconds off of the clear time. Now, as mentioned, we want to use the Plasmaphile class mod. If you can find it with skill damage, that'll be best, obviously, because it's a skill, so we want that boosted up as much as possible. It can come with a variety of different roles here. I have the one that gives increased critical hit damage and the 2 coolant for schooling. Probably better to get 5 points of 2 coolant for schooling, as that is going to give ourselves even further action skill cooldown rate, which again turns into into action skill damage. So if you really want to min max, it'd be 5 points there. I have this here, which gives increased skill damage. It's a little bit better to go with the other option there, but both work fine. Now, we're also going to throw on Watts for dinner here for the bonus shock damage. That's how we get Groundbreaker to do some pretty insane stuff. And since we're getting shields, we can use the Amp to further increase this, although it is not necessary. You can also go with a Cinder Shelly here. This will make us really hard to kill because we're going to basically keep restoring shields. And this gives us up to 50% damage reduction, which is amazing. The Super Soldier works as well. This increases our fire rate when our shields are full, which is often, although we don't get a lot of damage from our guns. And if you're mobbing, the fireworks is just the best choice, but Watts for dinner for all others. We're actually really tanky because of the amount of shield that we can get from our action skill. For our enhancement, I have a Jacobs one here because we're using like everything with Jacobs enhancements. A lot of shotguns too, kind of funny enough, but we have infinite ammo that regenerates, so we don't have to worry about our ammo running out. So we can run 4 shotguns and be fine. This also increases the ricochets, which is great, and 20% chance to grant critical hits. Gun damage is the best roll because we can turn that into action skill damage, and gunfire rate actually helps out a bit too. Now for our grenade or ordnance here, I like the ricochet augment here, which will bounce off enemies and ricochet towards. This just gives us extra bullets. The artillery payload will fire bullets around us, and the nuke just increase the overall damage and size of it. The ordnance isn't like super massive. You could go with a critical hit vivisecting throwing knife here to further increase our critical hit chance. Just toss 3 of these on, then your action skill is just going to be blasting away. You can use like a bismuth tip dagger as well, increasing the amount of cryo damage, but the problem is when you throw a lot of, like this has 7 charges, you take away from the time that you're actually using your action skill because both of them, you can only fire a gun and use one or the other at the same time. So we're going to basically want to use waterfall and throw it in 2 bursts. The waterfall doesn't damage us as well, which is really good. For our Repkit, this is good because the Repkit's duration is increased by 100%. Action skill cooldown duration is decreased by 50, so we get our action skill back even quicker. And then on use, grants increase action skill cooldown rate by 100% for 20 seconds. This doesn't heal us much, but it doesn't need to. It's actually really crazy on this setup. We're also, for firmware, going to grab Skillcraft. Dealing skill damage increases skill damage by up to 50%. Skill critical hit chance, so we get plus 65% skill damage when maxed out, 10% crit chance. It's amazing. And I'm using active fire for 10% weapon damage and the charge rate because we're using a Ripper convergence here, so we get that to go a little bit quicker. And then we also have Ripper, Mantra, and Crazed Earl, so this feeds together very nicely. And I guess that brings us to the next point, convergence. This shotgun is really good. You kind of need to use it. This is the best possible roll with no elementals. This is the best roll with an elemental. What's great about this is it spawns additional projectiles, so when you're using this, it actually gets our action skill back really fast. It also is great on like a gloam to glow cache because of all the extra projectiles, but this is like an essential one. I also did use the Crazed Earl, especially when fighting the bosses, because you can use your melee attack to get Groundbreaker and trigger this as well, which is actually some pretty respectable DPS, although I prefer the convergence. And the Mantra Shotgun, always a good choice because it's melee damage and we can boost that up even further. This is best if you want to use it against like Bloom Reaper the Invincible, for example. I did do videos breaking down the top 5 weapons in every single category, and honestly, a lot of these weapons can work well. A Stray with the underbarrel increasing damage by 35% can help out on this build. The Juliet Sparkle is a really good choice too if you want to go with like an SMG, and especially if you get the shotgun ammo version. The Flash Cyclone, another fantastic choice here. Also a fan of the Dark Beast. With the shotgun loader, you can actually do some pretty crazy damage with this, and it's multi-projectile, so you get your action skill back quickly. Same thing here as the jailbroken Gatling. This is actually another really good option because it has a shotgun loader and it's an SMG, so you can go through both ammo. Even though we do regen it, it is a nice option because this fires off quicker and it also will fire off additional projectiles. Not as fast as Convergence, but it is a good alternative option. You even get by with using the Falker here. This is a pretty solid weapon in general if you get the shotgun loader for it. And the doe shot is another one. Shotgun Jacobs, it hits hard and it has a lot of projectiles and it shoots really fast too. So basically what this looks like is we're going to try and activate our action skill as much as possible. You can see it's actually doing huge chunks of damage to this boss here. So yeah, the thing is you got to shoot the eyes in their eyeball to be able to get them to stop healing him. And yeah, you'll likely have this happen a couple times here. Unfortunately, sometimes it is a little bit buggy with having it trigger properly. There we go. We got the first phase down. Now whenever Thole comes in, you want to throw the grenades right here. They'll also shoot off and help us get our action skill back really quickly, so spam it away with that. We also are going to use our Repkit here to be able to get ourselves the action skill cooldown to even further boost up the damage. And you can see you can actually do some actual respectable damage here. Again, it's just not enough for Ultimate Vault Hunter 7 to work like as good as it could. I'm still experimenting around. I just don't see it being a possibility. Thole just has way too much health. You can get gold reliably, but the platinum time is a lot harder, unfortunately. So I'd recommend just playing Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 because you can get Skillcraft and Active Fire in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 despite the information saying otherwise. So you don't even have to play the highest difficulty of Ultimate Vault Hunter 7 if you wanted to get the new firmwares. So yeah, but you see it here. We're doing insane amounts of damage, considerable actually. And then same thing here, we're going to toss up our 2 grenades right there. Now, this is where we're going to get in and actually start doing melee. But you see, we get our action skill back so quickly. But yeah, we're actually doing some pretty respectable damage there with Groundbreaker actually triggering a crazy amount. So every 5 seconds or go, you can go in and do a melee attack like this. We can also face tank this because we have so much shield regen from our action skill that we're like unkillable at this point. So yeah, get in there, start meleeing away and doing your crazy damage just like you see here. It is really fun, and don't forget to use your Repkit as well. So you can Repkit, toss grenades here, and the grenades will hopefully help take care of the mobs in the arena because they are annoying. But yeah, every 5-6 seconds or so, we want to get in for that melee attack if you can, because it will do a bit of extra damage here. Actually going to get a much better time here. There we go, 433. That was pretty solid. So yeah, the blue skill tree is pretty crazy strong. This one is a little bit faster than the last build that I posted, but want to share this here just because the blue skill tree does not have much love, and this new class mod actually makes it somewhat useful. It is actually pretty good here. So hit the subscribe button below if you found this video useful. I hope you guys all have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next one.